Hello and welcome to this week's GG Weekend Watch, kindly sponsored by Bet UK. Well, we're mixing codes this week because we have jump action at Kempton and Newcastle, and we will also be discussing all things flat with races from Lingfield this week. I shall be looking ahead to all of these races in the company of Daryl Carter and Andrew Mount, as per usual. And we had a good week last week, lads. So just to read out those results, we had Floating Spirit, one at 4-9 tipped by Daryl. We're Cool, one at 6-1 tipped by Andrew and also bolstered by Daryl. Captain Ord, one at 11-2 tipped by me. Cloudy Glen placed at 28-1 tipped by Daryl. Aramis Gray, one at 13-8 tipped by Daryl. And Shishkin, one at 2-1 tipped up by Daryl as well. So Daryl, a few weeks ago, you were saying about your lack of form and you were talking about this is the end, this is it now. You've had, what, 7-1 nap winning on your penultimate weekend. All of those results I just read out this time around. So, yeah, I'm glad to see that the tide has definitely turned for you. And more of the same this week, please, because we begin with flat action at Lingfield with a listed sprint stakes for 4-year-olds and over 5 furlongs at 130, where Tone the Barone is currently the 5-2 favourite. Pretty open contest, Andrew. Who are you siding with?
I'm going with Miss Nay Never for the Quinn Yard. She's a completely different animal on the all-weather compared to turf. She's won 8 of her 12 starts on synthetics, 0 from 15 on grass. And she's yet to race here at Lingfield, but she's a 3-time Polytrack winner at Chelmsford, and I thought she was pretty solid. She's got plenty of early toe, and you look at the roll call of honour of this race, then it generally goes to a horse who's up with the pace throughout. Very rare for them to come from off the pace. You can get lulled into, there's plenty of pace on here, I'll back a hold-up horse. I've fallen for that in the past, and then have mine sort of finish 4th or 5th at absolute best. Tone the Barone sort of loves Wolverhampton and returned to form there last time out. He's generally one you can back in fields of 9 or fewer runners over 5 furlongs on the all-weather and win about 50% of the time. He heads the market though, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him go well. But yeah, I'll go Miss Nay Never.
Oh, Miss Nay Never. It's 9-2 then for the bit of a winning machine of a mare from stall 10 there as well. So yeah, like that a lot. The Miss Nay Never. Daryl, who do you like?
Yeah, that was my concern with her, Kate. The draw in stall 10. Do you got any stats on that, Andrew, about the wide draw?
Yeah, you don't want to be. I mean, generally speaking, at the moment at Lingfield, you don't want to be anywhere near the inside rail. So I'd rather be 10 than 1, because given her early toe and the other pace angles in the race, that's going to put her off the rail in sort of position A. You would have thought on the shoulder of the leader. So I think she'll be in a great position from the outset. So I'd see 10 as a disadvantage, as an advantage compared to sort of stall 1 or 2.
Yeah, that makes sense. She's the most progressive in the field quite easily. A lot of these have sort of reached their level and are not kicking on, if you like. And to be honest, none of them have really got like absolute optimum conditions where, you know, that they love Lingfield, they love this time of year or anything like that. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if she could hit the frame. Definitely, I'd be a big fan of hers if I had to have a bet in the race. I haven't got a confident opinion in the contest, to be honest. I thought the one that might be overpriced was last year's winner, One Night Stand, who was a little bit better than the bare result here, over 6 last time in listed company behind Anaf. Is one, again, that looks to be ridden very prominently up with the pace. I thought 6 just tends to stretch his stamina. I think he's better over 5, in my personal opinion. That came after a long break. He's got a good record second time out. He's won for the last 2 years, second time out. I think this probably would have been the target for a repeat bid at this. Yeah, back down to 5. I thought he could go well. He's around 33-1, I think, or 20-1 or something like that. 20-1. Maybe.
Yeah, I've got 20s here. But
yeah, I thought that was quite big, really, considering there was a few in here with question marks.
Definitely, like I say, a few question marks around. So 20-1 about One Night Stand. Why would you call a horse that? There's names like that. I just don't understand. There must be a
half sister to Walk of Shame.
Right, we best leave that there before any of us say anything to get us in trouble. Right, we'll move on to Kempton now then for the Grade 2 Adonis Juvenile Hurdle. 4-year-olds over 2 miles at 150. Potentially some last minute Cheltenham clues here too. So Daryl, who are you siding with?
Yeah, I like Nessra in this for Joseph O'Brien. Typically, script writer is going to head the market, but I don't think his come from behind style is going to be well suited to Kempton. In all honesty, I don't think they're going to go a good clip here for him. And to be honest, the form of Nurserat's debut win at Punchestown ties in really closely with scriptwriter and comfort zone, more so than the market's given it credit for. Nurserat beat a horse called Calico back in 3rd. That horse went and chased home Dixie Cove, was beaten in a listed event narrowly next time. Obviously, this Dixie Cove ties in with both Scriptwriter and Comfort Zone. I think this is the best horse in the race. I thought that the run in third in the Frank Knight was quite taking, considering they sort of went a stop-start gallop, and Nursery was tucked away on the inside, had to get out and get a run, only beaten by Lossiemouth and Gala Marcial, who's going to be very prominent and very well fancied, I think, for the Triumph Hurdle, way for those. And last time at Fairyhouse, he was well beaten by Blood Destiny, who's probably going to win the Triumph. But he that was on soft or heavy going that day, and I just felt that they may have had an eye on a handicap rating for the Boodles that day. It's come out as a mark of 130, which is going to be sort of stiff enough, I guess, for the Boodles handicap. And this race is actually worth 45 grand, and the Boodles is worth 45 grand. So this is obviously a much softer option for Joseph to come over here and pick this up. I think there's more to come from this. So I think that the horse is the best in the race by a good distance, to be honest with you. And yeah, I think 4-1's a cracking price. For 6-1, I think earlier in the week, I didn't think the market expected the horse to run, but 4-1's very generous. I think getting £5 off Scriptwriter, I think you'd take a world beating, in all honesty.
Oh, I like it a lot then. Yeah, Joseph O'Brien sending another one across the pond this time around, and hopefully going to go back with more success for Nusret here. And like you say, it's kind of like the market's sort of forgotten that the Irish horses are better than us here. 4-1 looks a bit of a gimme then about Nusret here. But Andrew, who do you like?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Daryl with Nusret. I mean, Joseph O'Brien has already plundered two of the biggest juvenile prizes in Britain this year with Comfort Zone, who won the finale at Chepstow, and then, of course, beat Scriptwriter by 3/4 of a length at Cheltenham on Trials Day. So, you know, he obviously knows where he stands with those. The better ground, as Daryl said, will help. I didn't sort of want to back him earlier in this week because he was also entered in the opener at Fairyhouse on Saturday, so I wasn't sure where he was going to run. But I still think 4-1 looks fair enough. Rare Middleton's a little harder to assess. He was 5-2 on when winning comfortably at Taunton on soft ground. He's yet to race on good ground, but you know, his breeding, his bio-claim suggests it shouldn't be a problem. I said Rare Middleton could be anything, but in terms of form in the book, you know, I know he was sort of beaten a fair way, but it was behind Lossiemouth, it was behind Blood Destiny, two of the leading fancies for the Triumph Hurdle. This is Nusret, so I think he's the one to beat, and yeah, he probably should be closer in the market to Scriptwriter than 2-1 and 4-1. I mean, Scriptwriter's solid. Stick him in your place pot. You know, 3 wins and a 3/4 of a length second in Grade 2 company from 4 starts. Milton Harris won this race last year with Night Salute, of course. He's sure to be there about. But yeah, sort of, you know, back Nusret, have a little forecast, perhaps a reverse forecast with Scriptwriter.
Yeah, you both made really strong cases. Are you expecting that 4-1 to stay around for Nusret, or are you expecting?
Well, I mean, the 9-2, last of the 9-2 disappeared when the decks came out, and I can imagine would be under pressure. So I can see him going off, you know, sort of, you know, 11-4 each of 2, Scriptwriter and Nusret, perhaps.
Yeah, so potentially, like I say, hopefully get those early prices now before the market might just reassess itself. Right, we're back to the flat for the Group 3 Winter Derby Stakes for 4-year-olds and over a mile 2 at 205. But Lord North is the current odds-on favourite. But Andrew, how are you playing this one?
Yeah, I'm not. That's the way. It's yeah, we haven't really. It's quite sort of murky, isn't it? The sort of 10 furlongs of all-weather scene at the moment, and the Winter Derby trial. It's been, you know, sort of difficult to sort of, you know, pin down a star in this sphere. I mean, Lord North was beaten in the race last year, finishing second. He's a 7-year-old now, so 5-4 on, not for me. Forest of Dean wouldn't be a bad shout, but I think I'm going to go Tyrrhenian Sea for Roger Varian, who you know, just looks like, you know, he's a proper all-weather expert. 0-4 on turf, 5 goes on synthetics. Winner. Those were all at Newcastle. He's then gone to Kempton. He was 2-1 on, but he met trouble. He only got beaten half length in 4th, and then last time out, you know, again Newcastle beaten half length. So, you know, maybe you know, back on the all-weather Tyrrhenian Sea, you know, each way might be the way to go in the race. But I wasn't particularly enamoured with the contest as a whole.
I was relying on you to come up with another betting angle into this race. So at least you have given us Tyrrhenian Sea, then 7-1 for an each way play. But not overly inspired, is Andrew. Daryl, are you anymore?
Absolutely not, no. I'd love to just part. I just couldn't find any race, any angle to take on Lord North, really. And I'm not overly enamoured about trying to back him at odds on. Look, he's £12 clear on the ratings, but don't know. He's just an untrustworthy horse at the best of times, isn't he? Yeah, I no opinion, Kate. Sorry, I can't give you a selection.
Do not worry at all. You've both been very much agreeing with that. At least we have 8 runners, I guess, for Andrew's each way play then. But yeah, we hope that all 8 will stand their ground just to try and give us any sort of other angle. But yeah, not overly inspired by that. Like I say, Lord North isn't the most trustworthy out of animals at the best of time, let alone at odds on. But we have more Grade 2 action up next at Kempton with the Pendil novices chase for 5-year-olds and over 2 mile, 4.5 furlongs at 2:25. 5 declared runners here, Daryl. So who are you siding with?
Yeah, I'm going to be with Solo for Paul Nicholls. He's got a great record in this race. Won this the last 2 years with the De La Haye runners, and then he's won it 6 times from the last 10. I just thought that Boot Hill was not a 2.5 miler. I thought he was a definite 2 miler. So I wanted to sort of take him on stepping up and trip. I didn't think that his run last time behind Tommy's Oscar suggested he wanted to go up and trip. So I just think this is just out of circumstance that they're just going to run him. So I wanted to take him on, especially giving away £5. That's All Right Gino is a horse I've been a big fan of all season. I thought he ran really well at Cheltenham behind Stage Star. He was sort of midfield. It was a really slowly run race. If like Stage Star, everyone was hyped up about him after winning that. He actually would have been beaten, but 13 lengths by Il Redoto on the same card. So it was like he was well positioned. That's Right Gino wasn't, so his performance deserved to be upgraded slightly. The concern I've got with him is going right-handed and at Kempton. Now, these fences at Kempton, they come quite quickly at you, and his jumping is not the best when he's under optimal conditions, let alone on a sharp right-handed track like this. Go back to the Tolworth, the Tolworth when he ran against Constitution Hill. I think that was his last run right-handed. He jumped out to the left over hurdles. Now, there's no signs that when he's been going left-handed, that he would jump out to the left, but it does just concern me that they've not gone right-handed. They have kept him left-handed. For all I think he is an absolute winner and waiting over 2.5 miles, I don't think these are his absolute ideal conditions. So I think Solo's the rock solid horse here for me. I think he's better going right-handed. I thought he bumped into a bit of a handicap plot in Balco Coastal at Kempton on Boxing Day. He's had a good break since then. He's had a wind operation. He likes it round here. The ground is going to be absolutely fine for him. I think he ticks a lot of boxes. So I thought 7-2 was fair.
Yeah, he's already been backed in from 11-2 as well into 7-2. So Solo, the rock solid option, and taking on those 2 at the head of the market. Good cases made against those 2 by Daryl Andrew. So who do you like?
Yeah, I took Solo earlier in the week. He's Nicholls, 11 runners in this race in the past 10 years, 6 winners, profit of £9.25 to a £1 stake. Had you back them blind? He relies on Solo from his 2 entries at the 5-day stage. He probably hasn't won the races he should. I mean, over fences, it's a win, 4 seconds from seven runs. I thought he's going to be first or second. The wind up, I think, might make that first place a bit more likely than it was looking before I realised he'd had one. Didn't like Boot Hill because of the trip. Didn't like That's All Right Gino because of the track. Like, he was pulled up in Constitution Hill's Tolworth the last time he ran this way round. He's avoided right-handed tracks since then. His only other right-handed run was at Market Raisin on his debut when he was beaten. He can obviously forgive that because he lacked experience, but it does seem quite significant that, given he's trained by Jamie Snowden, who has lots of runners at the likes of, sort of Kempton, Sandown, Wincanton, that, perhaps he has, mostly been campaigned on left-handed tracks. He still needs to prove conclusively that he stays this far. As Daryl says, he probably does, but it's another sort of slight negative about a horse who's prominent in the betting. I mean, the other one I was interested in, just on his course form really, was JJ Riley. He's won 2 from 3 here. So my sort of place pot preview had Solo over JJ Riley, and I'll probably play that pair in a reverse toting sector as well.
Have you 2 been comparing notes before we came on? Honestly, this is becoming more. I think that all of us are spending far too much time together because all of our thoughts are starting to merge, which is
Daryl's even saying words like enamored now, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Read dictionaries.
Yeah, 3 syllables we're going with now on all words for the level that we're up to now. Because honestly, I'm slightly, I don't know if I'm pleased or slightly concerned the fact that you 2 are just
someone higher up at GG Towers is going to work out that they can just have one of us and play
exactly.
off the price.
The pair of you two start disagreeing right now so we can all keep our jobs. Right, and hopefully you'll disagree on this next one because it's a good betting heat up next. This is the Coral Trophy Handicap Chase back at Kempton again. Now a Premier Handicap, 5 rods and over 3 miles. The old Racing Post Chase, of course. But Andrew, who are you backing?
Killer Clown. For the Emma Lavelle yard. Funny old race, this one. I mean, again, Captain Orr, we talked about him last week, didn't we? Because he ran in that race at Ascot. When I was against him because he was sort of, recent wins to runs ratio was sort of pretty modest, 1 from 18 prior to that win. But I guess on revisiting that, you look at it, you think, yeah, he does do flipping well at this time of year. I think 5 of his last 6 wins have come from sort of mid-February to mid-March. And so obviously they didn't think that winning that big valuable contest at Ascot last week was going to put paid to his chances here. And so I'm not so keen on. I tipped him up here last time out, and he's got a phenomenal record in December and January. I think he's won his last 5 starts in those months. Outside that period, not so good. I know we're only sort of a few weeks away from that peak period of his, but he wasn't for me at the price. And as for the Killer Clown, but just be careful because there's Killer Kane and Killer Clown. No, I did tip Killer Kane when he won last time, napped him up in my column because he basically comes good at this time of year in small fields on right-handed tracks. Possibly a few too many runners for him, but I wouldn't be sort of surprised to see him run well also. But Killer Clown tends to come good in his first start after the new year. I think it's first, second, third, second, and we last saw him in action at Newbury behind Course Expert Paint the Dream, finishing out the back of the telly. But you look at last season, he was well beaten at Newbury at the same meeting, what was the Hennessy meeting. First time out the new year, bang, he wins by 9 lengths. Go back to the year before, he was beaten beaten sort of November time, takes a few runs to come to hand. Won on Boxing Day, first run of the new year. We had to wait till early March. He's finished a good second of 14, and then again, the year before that, he's done a similar thing as well. He's come out and finished third at 10-1, beaten a length and a quarter on his first New Year's start. So running fresh on better ground, I think he's going to suit Killer Clown. He was 25s at the start of the week. I think he's about 16s, and that's under pressure now.
Yeah, like I said, that is under pressure at the minute.
Well, quick mention, he's got a good record here at Kempton. He does need to conclusively prove that he stays a 3-mile trip, but I'll take the chance at the price.
Exactly, the price giving you that chance with Killer Clown. For Andrew, Daryl, who do you like?
Yeah, sorry, Andrew's is coming in the betting, and mine is drifting out in the betting.
Oh no, at this stage already.
I'm with our power again. I liked him at Ascot when he dotted up over Danny Kerwin. I thought he was being saved for another race. He's got a good record fresh, been off the track 119 days. He prefers good ground. And sort of the main angle really was I thought there was so much pace in the race that I thought it would just suit him really well. He ran in this race last year. He finished third to Captain Orr, but he was staying on really, really strongly at the finish, and he just hit the final fence. He would have finished much closer than the 8 lengths beaten suggests. That was off 136, off 141 here, but he's progressive. He's unexposed at this trip, and his last start just confirmed that he definitely wants 3 miles. And I just think a real test today with the likes of Frode on in there, Bob Hope, No Hope. Who else did I say he was going to go forward? Annsam, maybe Sound Canvados will be running forwardly. I just thought there was a lot of pace on in the race. I think it could just set up for him. He has won here before. He's fairly handicapped. He's still only an 8-year-old, and I think was definitely around 17-2 now. The top price is well worth it, I think.
Oh, good. You're confirming one of my fears with my own selection here with that hold-up angle, because I am siding with Annsam, and I am very fearful of him just not getting the uncontested lead that he's, well, not going to want as such, but obviously saw him such good effect last time out. And I know he's heading the market in many places, but to me, it's still a fair price at 5-1, win only, because it's either flush or bust with him here. Hopefully to back up that course and distance win from last time out, because it was just an absolute demolition job from him, where he got into a great rhythm. And if you had sided with him, you were never really in much fear whatsoever. because he was just loving it out there. He got into such a good jumping rhythm, jumping boldly. He is unlikely to get the same uncontested lead here, which is a huge concern. And the fact that this race has resulted in so many pace burnouts in recent renewals as well. And he did fail also. Why am I just saying all these things? He also failed to give his running in this race last year as well because he jumped poorly.
All the negatives.
Yeah, exactly. Why I've actually taught myself back around. I'll lay the back.
Lay.
No, I'm still siding with him. I've made my bed now. I may as well lie in it because I think the £7 rise for last time out does remain very fair. So hopefully he gives his running this time around at the back end of February as well. Oh God, I was convincing there, wasn't I? But we do have another big handicap chase up next in the form of the Eider Handicap Chase for 5 rods and over 4 mile, 1 at 3:25 at Newcastle. And it's that combination of Christian Williams and Jack Tudor to the fore again. They team up with Kitty's Light here, who heads the betting as the 11-4 favourite. I thought it was interesting that Jack Tudor is coming up to ride Kitty's Light, and Cian Quirk gets the ride on Captain Adonis here, Daryl, probably to offset the fact he's £1 wrong in that Coral Trophy chase. But who wins the Eider for you?
Yeah, I think Kitty's Light wins it, to be honest. He's brilliant, isn't he, Christian Williams, at sort of targeting these sort of races. This horse, I thought all season, I was trying to think, I even tweeted him actually and asked him, where are you plotting Kitty's Light for? This race didn't come into my mind at all, but it does definitely make sense going back up to 4 miles. Last year in April, ran an excellent second to Win My Wings as the stablemate in the Scottish Grand National off a mark of 143. It's £11 lower now, and that horse, the winner, is rated 153. So, like in handicapping terms, Kitty's Light is very well treated. I just think that Jack Tudor's just going to have to sort of avoid any sort of trouble in running. I suppose that would be your biggest concern, given Kitty's Light likes to be held up. But I thought he caught the eye a little bit behind Annsam. Look, he was well beaten, 19 lengths, but he was one of the only horses staying on down that home straight at Kempton. The price is obviously the price, isn't it? But this is just the right race for Kitty's Light, I think. And yeah, I know this normally goes to older horses that in the last 8 years or whatever, they've no horse younger than 9, but this horse has still got plenty of improvement to come, I think, Kitty's Light, and definitely a stayer to keep on side.
He's an anomaly as a 7-year-old anyway, isn't he? Given how many of these staying contests he's running. So like I say, he's got all of that experience regardless of his age anyway. So another big Saturday win for Christian Williams. This is kind of his time to come good really for Daryl. Andrew, who do you like?
Yeah, funny old race. I'd forgotten my 8-year-olds or younger horses have struggled in this race, 0 from 41 in the last since 2014. When I tipped Babington Bob in Racing and Football Outlook on Tuesday. So well, I bet Babington Bob because of his love of sort of stiff tracks, and he's had 4 runs here and at Hexham, 2 at each venue. He's won them all. Blinkers go on for the first time. That was a little bit of a surprise. I mean, 12 of the 15 runners in this race wear some form of headgear. It's actually you could have bet every horse aged 9 or older who wasn't wearing headgear and made a good profit in recent years. So there's only 3 that don't have it on. Kitty's Light. I mean, age factor aside, I mean, he chased home Captain Adonis in the big race at Kempton on the corresponding week last year. So it's obviously significant they've come for this rather than go for that prize again, which I thought he had a chance of reversing the form of the winner. So he's got every chance. 11-4 short enough, I think, isn't it? So I mean, maybe possibly each way double with Captain Adonis might be sort of one way to sort of include them in your calculations. I'll stick with Babington Bob despite the age factor. The other 2 I was interested in. One more flurry for Ian Williams, who's a spring horse. Got beaten in a match at Catterick last time out, but I think he's going to win a race at some point this spring. Probably not this one, as he's 40 to 1, but do bear it in mind for sort of quicker ground in March, April time. And the other bet, one I'll probably put up in my column, is Amateur. Not my namesake, contrary to popular belief. Again, this horse is a good statistical fit, and it's all about the ground with him as well, and second run after a break as well. Now, last time out, he was 125 to 1. He's finished 6th of the 12 at Hereford on soft ground. He wasn't beaten a million miles, got beaten 12 lengths. That was his first run since June. Now, you go back to last season. Again, second run back. He's a winner. He got beaten in February, second run of the new year. Came back in April, won at Foss Last. Same thing the year before as well. He's unseated on his comeback on his first run of the year. Second next time out at Uttoxeter. Go back to keep going back a little bit further. Even sort of 2017. Beaten on his first run of the year, wins second time out. So good ground. Second run after a break. I think amateur, who was 50s, then 33s, now 25's best. Might run some sort of race for John Flint here, the 10-year-old.
Go amateur, then the 10-year-old, 25-1 as one bet. Do keep an eye on One More Flurry, the outsider of the field, at 40-1. But your main play, though, is going to be Babington Bob too. To defy your own age statistics, then, Andrew. So nicely done with that one. I'm siding with 2 in this. I'm hoping that we talk about the pace angle for this race. I'm going to side with hopefully a horse at either end of that pace, because I just didn't exactly know how it was going to transpire, the pace in this year's race. But the first is Bushy Park, who ticks an awful lot of boxes for me on his seemingly bounce back form in his last 2 starts, finishing second at Newcastle on his penultimate start over hurdles, proving that was no fluke of a return to form just 5 days later, winning off of the same mark at Catterick last time out over fences. He certainly saved a trip last time out over 3 mile 6, and he jumped really well. So despite the £8 rise, he remained £5 below his previous winning mark. I'm just concerned about him on the front doing too much too soon. So I'm also siding with a hold-up performer in Houston, Texas, who's 16-1, and he posted a much better effort back over fences last time out, 4 for Newcastle over 2 miles 7. But we know he gets further than that trip. He remains like you race for a 9-year-old. Only 11 starts under rules, 3 points to his name. So he's down £2 for last time out and should have more to offer. Sorry if you could hear the door in the background. That's my postman leaving me a note to go to the depot to pick up whatever I've ordered now. Which is, I'm convinced my postman hates me. He hates me. He must be able to see that I'm here, and he always takes it back. So,
have you got any neighbours you could leave it with, or is your house too big and your neighbours are 2 miles away? Is that
Oh, exactly. On the estate, no, it would only be the gatekeeper at the entrance, Andrew, and he's off around the grounds at the minute. So unfortunately, he's probably not in to pick it up. So yeah,
I hope your depot's not like. If your depot's like my depot, they're open for 10 minutes at 3 o'clock in the morning on Thursdays.
Yes, exactly that. And they don't tell you when they're open. They don't leave it on the note. You have to go there to find out that they're shut as well. Oh, honestly. Yeah. But one of my pet peeves in life is just the post, basically. Anyway, on a brighter note, we finish off our final scheduled races back at Kempton with the Grade 2 Dovecote Novices Hurdle for 4-year-olds and over 2 miles at 3:40. 7 declared runners here. So, Andrew, who wins it?
Not Rubard. The Nichols run. I wasn't particularly keen on him last time out when he ran in the Betfair Hurdle. He raced freely as he had done when beaten over course and distance the time before. He's got the hood on for the first time, might help him settle, or if he's anything like Nichols' previous Class 1 runners in the first time hood, he's going to get beat. All 14 have previously. So he's on the drift. I thought Hansard was solid enough, 2 from 2 since switched to hurdles and joining Gary Moore, but the price is nothing to write home about. The one I like is Imperial Bead, which I'm gutted I didn't put up in my column when he won at Huntingdon last time, because he was a can I say non-triumph, non-jigger, ridden considerately. You go back and watch the video of his Leicester run on the 1st of December, and he's 25-1. He's staying on well up the straight, and John Joe O'Neill, it's a piss-taking ride, basically. Well, it's absolutely just great. It's like it's difficult to sort of run up the back of horses when there's only like 3 of them in contention in the closing stages, but he managed it, and he got beaten 4 and a bit lengths, and next time out he's 16s into 8s and he's won easily at Huntingdon. That was a maiden hurdle. He's up in grade, but I think there's probably more to come from him. Interesting they're not trying to take advantage of his handicap mark of 120 and coming here instead. But I think there's a lot more to come from Imperial Bead, and they must be thinking, well, why didn't we actually win that Leicester race when he was 25-1? It would have been perhaps the thing to do. So yeah, I think Imperial Bead over Hansard is the way to play it.
Okay, and Imperial Bead probably better than the official rating even suggests of 120, so you can understand why he's going to this Grade 2 contest. Daryl, who are you siding with?
Rabood.
Oh, okay, here we go. Now we've got our disagreement we wanted. Well done.
Yeah, I thought he ran a blinder at the Betfair Hurdle. I wasn't keen on him that day either, to be honest, but I thought he actually ran a blinder. He was very, very keen for God, the best part of the race, 3/4 of the race, and he just finally gave way at just coming down to the last. I think he's a progressive horse. The time we clocked at Kempton, here at Kempton, back on Boxing Day was really, really good. And I think there's more to come from him. It's interesting they turn him out quickly 14 days later at this particular meeting where Paul Nicholls seems to target a lot of his decent young horses. Like Andrew said, the hood goes on for the first time. 23% stroke rate when putting a hood on doesn't really bother me if he's had a few losers. I just think that the hood would definitely suit this particular horse. If you go back to his couple of runs at Taunton last year, he was very, very keen there as well. And he was very keen on this card actually last year when he was beaten 45 lengths by Night Salute in the Adonis. But I think there's more to come from him. I think his form ties in nicely with Master Chewy with Hansard at the top of the market, and it'd be the one for me. I think he'd handle the course and the ground perfectly. So,
Daryl, just going back to Nicholls in a hood, you would make a loss back in him, and it's 18% in his career. I don't know. How long have you gone back to the 23%?
Only a couple of years.
Right.
Yeah, I understand you make a loss backing him, but I'm only backing one, so I only need one to win.
One to buck the trend, yeah. And it may as well be Rhubarb then at 3-1 in that 340 at Kempton. So Daryl, I'll go back to you, please, for anything from anywhere else.
There's a couple to keep an eye on actually. Cardahala in the 245 at Ferry House, bolted up last time, loads in hand. It's in a handicap, and I think the market's going to be made by American Mike, who's actually running in a handicap of 138. But American Mike can't jump. I think this one's got plenty more to come, so keep an eye on him. There's a Potemps qualifier, the final Potemps qualifier at 307 at Chepstow. Dubrovnik Harry interests me, going up to 3 miles. I think he's a stayer. He tends to be given too much to do over 2 miles and 2.5 miles. I think he could improve. And Al Muzain in the 350 at Lingfield. Green as grass last time at Lingfield. Bumped into a really smart one. We'll probably only need to run up to around 70 to win. If he can't, he probably won't be with Roger Varian for much longer. So Al Muzain in the 350.
Lots of other ways to play extra bits of racing there for Daryl Andrew. Who else do you like?
Couple of runners at Kempton in the 410, Scarpia for Nicky Henderson. Second run after a wind operation. Showed a lot more at Huntington last time, finishing third at 40-1. Been a length and a half, and did best of those to come from off the pace. 4:45 Kempton's, Foxborough second in the race last year. Good ground will suit, and hasn't got phlegmatic to cope with this time.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so Foxborough then for that second one in the 4:45 at Kempton. And Andrew, surprise, surprise. I'm going to spring it on you again. Your nap for Saturday, please.
Crikey. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'll go amateur in the Eider.
Oh, okay. Amateur. Whoa, okay. A fair price nap then for Andrew. Daryl.
Nursery in the Adonis.
Oh yeah, has to be now. So that seems a while ago that we spoke about his chances now. But yeah, 4-1 looks a bit of a gimme of a price at the time of recording for Nusray for Daryl, and I will go Annsam. Why not? Win or nothing, I think, for him in the 3 o'clock at Kempton, the Coral Trophy Handicap Chase. So thank you so much to Daryl and for Andrew for all of your hard work on this week's show. Thank you to our sponsors, Bet UK. Thank you to you for watching, and do enjoy the action this weekend.